Hi, welcome to One Sip No Rules. I'm Big Bob Dillon, your grocery store sommelier. This is episode 9, and this week we're tasting a splurge wine at the grocery store. Celebrating the end of the quarantine, phase 1 here in Florida, South Florida. Some other places in the country are already going to phase 2. See if Americans can practice safe social distancing and we can get back on track, get the restaurants back open, and get back to the normal that we're used to. And I'm also celebrating 1,000 followers this week. I really appreciate the love. It means a lot, and I really hope you're finding value in these reviews. So this week we're trying Groth Cabernet Sauvignon. This is 2015 Groth Cabernet from the Oakville AVA in Napa Valley, California. So these reviews are about the quality to price ratio of wines you find in grocery stores. So most of the wines we're tasting are what's on the major shelves there of wines between $10 and $25. That's the majority of the grocery store wines. And they do have some wines that are more expensive. Different grocery stores have different levels. Some of them have really, really great wines in there. And so it's all about the value. So would a $10 wine, could it get rated? Could I rate a $10 wine higher than I would rate a $100 wine? Yes, it could get. The value could be better for that more expensive wine. But is the $10 wine going to taste as good as the $100 wine? No, not a chance. It's all about the value. And unfortunately, at grocery stores, they just don't do a great job of providing value or selection for these more pricey wines. Matter of fact, this Groth, was $61.49 normally, but it was $15 off. It wasn't advertised special, just on the shelf, $15 off for $45.49. I know the wine, and I typically would see this wine for $50 to $55, so I grabbed it to celebrate with it, and I haven't had it in a while. We'll see how it is. So Groth is known for making Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet from Napa Valley, from Oakville, Napa Valley. And let's just say Napa is the 90210 of wine production in America. It's a very nice zip code. But just like in Beverly Hills, there's better neighborhoods. Groth lives in maybe the nicest neighborhood in Napa. I would say maybe the nicest, with neighbors of Groth like Plumpjack, Silver Oak, Opus One, Screaming Eagle. They're all very expensive. Screaming Eagle sells for upward of thousands of dollars. And Groth does make a reserve Cabernet. This is their entry-level Cabernet. Groth does make a reserve Cabernet that costs around $120 to $140 typically. It was the first California wine to Robert Parker. It's the first wine Robert Parker ever gave 100 points in California in 1985. And the 2016 vintage last year was number 4 on Wine Spectator's top 100. So it has nice pedigree. I've tasted the wine. I haven't tasted it in a while since I was in the business. We'll see how it does in this quality to price ratio, if it's worth $50. Let's get into the wine. Deep dark purple, the rim, so a ruby rim, medium plus body. On the nose, big black fruit and graphite right off the get-go. Blackberry, black cherry, plums. The graphite, it's powerful. It's like pencil shavings. You know, when you were a child in elementary school and you had to go pencil your sharpener, and the pencil sharpener was filled with shavings and lead. That smell is prevalent. Soft, fruity floral aromas like fresh rose petals and fresh bay laurel. So these floral notes are more garden fresh, not dried flower, not like a potpourri, but very fresh rose and bay laurel. Sweet cigar leaf, a cedar lined closet. If you've ever been in a closet that's lined with cedar, it's a very nice oak. Is nice and it's earthy. When I say earthy, it's like fresh soil. I just had we just had a truck dump off within the last 3 months a truckload of soil for the garden, and this aroma is very reminiscent. Flavors of blackberry, black cherry again. It's cassis, little green pepper. One sip, no rules. Toffee, the mocha, like a milk chocolate covered espresso beans. I can really tell this is a quality producer. Nice, nice finish. Medium plus tannins. So the tannins are there, but they're a little more silky. The mouthfeel is more velvety than wool. Like I said, you could tell this is a quality producer. I'm gonna give this a rating of 7.1. Publix had this wine at 61.49. It's a little too high for this wine. There's a couple other producers I would probably be drinking at $61, but that's not has anything on this wine. This wine sells all day for $50, and at 46.49, I don't think you could find a better wine. So 7.1 on this wine. What are you going to drink with this wine? So drink a big red wine like this. It may taste astringent and bitter. So those are the tannins. What we're talking about, the tannins with the mouth feel and the bitterness. So if you're tasting, if you've been into an underripe berry or a very strong tea with no sugar, almost take a tea bag that's been freshly steeped and stick it in your mouth. That's bitterness that you get off the tannins. And the astringency, we're not talking bitterness and sour. Astringency is more of a physical sensation. Think of a dryness or roughness on the tongue, on your tongue. So the tannins come from new oak barrels, and these high quality producers, they're using new oak, and they're putting this in barrels for 12 to 20 months to 2 years. It's what everybody's going for in those $20 wines. They're speeding up the process, trying to make it taste big, but it's lacking something. So these tannins come from the oak barrels, and the process of making red wine, they use the skins and the seeds. There's tannin in those, and in using the whole grape. And the tannins are the building block for ageability of a really great wine. You say it's the structure. It all begins with tannins, and it makes it become a better wine over time. So if you want to drink a young wine like this, you can either let it sit in a cellar for years and years and let the tannins mellow out. But for me, I really like youthful California wine. I think the spot for California wine is 5 to 7 years. I really like to taste fruit forward, powerful California wine. I want to taste California. I want to taste America. That's what these wines are about. You taste a 7-year-old great California wine. It's America. You know what it is right off the bat. I love that. I have friends that will let these wines age 20, 30 years. They like that soft subtleness. To me, you're removing you're removing the terroir. You're removing everything what I love about the wines. So I'm drinking these wines young. You know, this wine is from 2015, so it's relatively young. It was in the bottle. It was in the barrel for, I'm not really sure, two years or so. So it's relatively young wine. And how are you going to get into it? You could decant it. I would decant it no matter what for a little bit, soften it up. But it turns out that fats and tannins can interact and form bonds. So when you take a sip of a big red wine after you're chewing on a high fat steak like a ribeye or New York strip, the the wines, the wine tannins will attach to the protein and the fat of the steak instead of your saliva. So without any food, without a high protein, high fat steak, the tannins attach to your saliva. It takes out all the water, zoom, very dry. You're like, oh, I don't like this. When you're eating it with steak, the tannins will attach to the fat and the protein. So now the fats will make the wine taste smoother, and the tannins will release more flavor from the steak. So it's a match made in heaven. These big red wines, it's why they're in steakhouses. Big fatty ribeye, New York strip, rack of lamb. This is a steakhouse staple. I worked in steakhouses for years and years, and this is something that is on every steakhouse in America. It's typically selling for between $90 and $120 probably. It's something if you were in a really great steakhouse that was known, Groth might make a deal for you to be able to do this by the glass, and you might be able to price it at $20 or $25, which is good for the winery because it's getting out there with the top 1% of steak, getting into people's glasses all over the place, and you're showing them value. It's what you're always trying for whenever the wine purveyors come in. Sommeliers are always tasting wines, trying to break them down to get that by the glass, get that better price, to give the consumers and our guests a better experience all around. This $25 is unbelievable value. You don't see a lot of value in steakhouses, but on the top tier steakhouses, the value in wine are the by the glass program, the higher by the glass program. We're talking $25 to $30 glasses of wine, which seem expensive, but these are wines that are $150 on the wine list, and they could cost you between $75 and $80 in a wine shop. So when you're, in a place that's marking up a wine 4 times, and you can get a wine by the glass for $20 that costs you $80. It's a way to go, and you can find them at the top tier steakhouses. So this wine, 7.1, that's just because Publix doesn't do well for these more pricey wines. $61.49, it got a 7.1. $46.49, it's a great deal. It's good stuff. Get back. Don't blow it, America. Stay safe. Don't all get on the sandbars and the beaches, and don't go crazy. Hopefully we flatten the curve when you get back. We need to get back to football. We can't have that not happen. So cheers until next week. Thank you.